I was once married to a genuinely good man, someone who loved me with his whole heart. But I broke that bond, and now I'm living with consequences I never thought I'd face. After our divorce, I married the man I had cheated with. Years later, I learned that my ex-husband had remarried, and the woman he chose was the last person I expected. My best friend, David, and I finalized our divorce in 2019. At the time, it felt like the only logical path forward. He had discovered during the early days of the COVID pandemic that I'd been unfaithful. I had been involved with Caleb, a waiter at a restaurant I often visited. When David confronted me, I didn't deny it or sugarcoat anything. I confessed. I told him I had fallen out of love and believed ending the marriage was the right decision. To his credit, David carried himself with grace. There were no screaming matches, no drawn-out legal battles. We separated cleanly, dividing our lives without hostility. He moved 2 hours away to a quieter town, closer to the university where he was pursuing his PhD, and had accepted a new job. I stayed behind with Caleb, who eventually became my second husband. David and I agreed to keep things civil. I sent him birthday messages, holiday greetings, even mailed a gift when he earned his doctorate. But he never replied, not even a quick thank you. That puzzled me, because it was unlike him. David was always the type to write handwritten thank you notes for even the smallest gestures. My parents, his sister, mutual friends, they all received cards from him, but I never did. Still, I tried to shrug it off. Maybe he needed distance. Maybe the hurt lingered. Meanwhile, I threw myself into life with Caleb. He had 3 kids from a prior relationship, and with a baby on the way, we were drowning in the chaos of blended family life and non-stop schedules. My closest college friend, Rachel, lived in the same city David had moved to. A brilliant lawyer who also taught part-time at the university. She and I had the kind of friendship that could survive long silences. Whenever we reconnected, it felt like no time had passed. So when our conversations became rare, I wasn't concerned. The last message I got from her was in late 2021. She said work was overwhelming. I figured she was also dating someone new. Rachel had a habit of disappearing into new relationships and resurfacing once things settled. I assumed that was the case again. Then last summer, Caleb and I visited David's city. I called Rachel, hoping to grab lunch or coffee, but she didn't pick up. It stung a little, but I chalked it up to her being busy, or wrapped up in another romance. I reconnected with other friends instead, and tried not to overthink it. In October, I returned for a Halloween party hosted by an old classmate. This time I went alone. I hoped to unwind, maybe even see Rachel. And she was there, dressed as Cleopatra, sipping wine by the bar. When she spotted me, her face froze in shock. Her hug was half-hearted, her smile faint. "Hey," I said, trying to sound cheerful. "I tried calling you this summer." She blinked, then replied, "Yeah, I was on my honeymoon then. Sorry I didn't get back to you." I froze. "Your honeymoon? Wait, you got married?" She nodded, her face unreadable. "When? You never even mentioned you were seeing someone." Rachel hesitated, then dropped the bomb in a low voice. "It's David." My mind went blank. The name hit me like a sledgehammer. I just stood there, stunned, ears ringing. "Wait, what?" I started, but she cut me off. "You don't get to be mad," she said flatly. "You broke his heart. We didn't even talk until 2 years after your divorce. You chose a man who brought you coffee over someone who gave you everything." Her words cut like a blade. I spent the rest of that weekend drinking too much, trying to numb the ache in my chest. I couldn't wrap my head around it. Rachel, my closest friend, had married the man I once thought I'd grow old with. The man I betrayed. The man I still thought about more often than I should. And she hadn't even told me. When I returned home, something inside me shifted. I couldn't look at Caleb the same way. I grew distant, cold. The kids noticed. I spent hours scrolling through old photos, haunted by memories I thought were long gone. David's quiet laugh, the way he pulled me close at the end of the day, how he forgave without words, and the heavy silence he used when he couldn't. After weeks of this, Caleb snapped. We had a huge fight. He accused me of hiding something, of cheating again. I broke down and told him everything. About David, about Rachel, about the wedding, and how much it tore me apart. He looked at me with contempt. You're acting like you're the one who got betrayed, he said. I've known about them for a while. It's all over social media. You just didn't want to see it. That sent me over the edge. I screamed at him for keeping it from me, for letting me chase after Rachel like a fool, for watching me spiral while saying nothing. You still love him, he said bluntly. That's not true, I snapped. If it wasn't, this wouldn't be tearing you apart. We fought all night. By sunrise, I left for work without sleep, and ended up crashing at my parents' house. I needed space. But when I came back days later, nothing had changed. We fought again. You're emotionally cheating, Caleb said. And honestly, maybe that's worse. If you were really over him, you wouldn't be grieving like someone died. I lashed out, called him stupid, told him he couldn't understand, because he'd never had deep friendships. The words were cruel, and I regretted them instantly, but I couldn't stop myself. I was drowning in regret. That night, I lay awake thinking about all I had lost. Years ago, I made a choice believing I was chasing happiness. I thought love was supposed to be exciting, spontaneous. But what I had with David, that was steady, enduring, real. And I threw it away for fleeting passion, for someone who made me feel wanted in the moment, but never truly understood me like David did. Now Rachel had stepped into the life I abandoned. She was the one receiving the flowers, the handwritten notes, the soft forehead kisses before work. She had become part of the world I left behind. And she didn't call me back, because I no longer had a place in it. I had built a new life, but the foundation was flawed from the beginning. Now I can't help but wonder if this is karma. Not the fiery kind, but the quiet kind. Being forgotten by the very people you can't stop remembering. I wanted closure, a chance to explain, but what I got instead was the empty truth. Some losses are permanent, and some doors, once closed, stay shut forever.